Well, as more Americans face layoffs due to the coronavirus, most are turning to federal and state unemployment benefits to supplement their income. Saw evidence of that in today's weekly jobless claims report. I do now want to bring in Job Creators Network President and CEO Alfredo Ortiz to talk more about that surge in claims. So, hi, Alfredo. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Hi, Greta. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, today's numbers are historic, but as we all know, it's circumstantial and this was expected. Once things get back to normal, these numbers are expected to go back down. How should we be processing this data, even though it's just temporary?
Yeah, that's absolutely. And I know you started your show with a quick clip from Secretary Mnuchin. Probably not the best term to use there at the top for him, but everything is in context. Really, I think is probably the best way to say it. It's not that they're irrelevant. Just in context of everything that was going on, I think that was expected. I would tell people, just take a breath because the next weekly jobless claim is probably going to be ugly as well. When you look at the total economy, hospitality, for example, restaurant, I think when you combine it all, we're probably going to be looking at 10 to 12 million people unemployed when it's all said and done. But it is temporary in nature, and I think that's what we want to emphasize. This bill that just passed in the Senate and hopefully will pass tomorrow in the House and go right to the president for signing is a critical bill, especially for small business owners where over half of the employee base is and 2/3 of new job growth exists. It's going to be critical for them to have that lifeline, and it's not a bailout. It's a true lifeline for these small businesses to be able to keep employees employed. I like to call it employment assurance, not unemployment insurance, because that's what they're trying to do here is we're trying to keep small business owners just on a standby because when the economy does come back, and I expect it to be maybe 45 to 60 days for that to really kind of start, taking root again. It's going to come back, I think, in a roar because there's going to be so much pent-up demand, Greta. I think people want to go out there, want to go shopping again, grocery stores, and the movies and restaurants. Things that Americans do and travel, and all that's going to come back. But we need to have employees in place. We need to have them on standby. I like having the analogy like a notebook, a computer, for example. You have the choice of either powering it down fully or putting it on standby. And we all know what happens when you put it on standby. You can power it right back very quickly, but if you power it all down, it's going to take a lot longer. And so in many ways, the economy is going to come to a pause. And people are just going to have to expect that and know that that's, is going to be a natural course of this. But we're going to get out of this, Greta.
Alfredo, a recent Job Creators Network survey showed 58% of small businesses say they cannot last a month without government assistance. 35% who are still open say they will be closed within 2 weeks or less without that assistance. What else did that poll find, and what message does this send to lawmakers on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, bottom line message is cash is king, Greta. These small business owners don't have the cash reserves that many of the large companies or even, medium-sized companies have. So getting that cash to the employers is absolutely critical to make sure that they can make payroll, they can make the utility and rent payments. Slightly concerning that it's already taken an extra week, probably longer, to get these bills signed and in place. Checks are probably going to go out to employees, for example, in 2 or 3 weeks, but that means April 1st is going to be right around the corner, and people pay mortgages, car payments, utilities, and stuff like that. A lot of times right around that April 1st timing. So that is a concern. And small businesses, of course, every single day that passes that they don't have cash is one day closer that they may have to consider just, shutting their doors. And so getting that cash to folks as quickly as possible, whether through the employer or employee, has to be now absolutely the number one thing on the economic agenda. Because, again, without that cash, a lot of these small business owners just don't have those big cash reserves to go out and fund payroll.
Alfredo, real quickly, the Fed and several other agencies at the federal level are urging banks to provide different types of credit to small businesses and consumers specifically. What other types of loans and credit can they benefit from in this time of need?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the exciting part is that in that $2 trillion bill, there's about $350 billion to small businesses in terms of loans. I actually really want to call them grants. When you really look at what it does, you don't have to have collateral. They're not personal guarantees. The application process is relatively light. Now, it does go through the SBA process. I have to tell you, as a former small business owner myself that's gone through that small business process, even on the quickest basis, we're talking 3 to 5 weeks. So we've recommended to Secretary Mnuchin directly maybe an expedited loan process, a simple application, one pager. You can walk into any bank, within your community and within 72 hours you'll have cash in the bank. That's the kind of speed that we're talking about. And so whether it's an SBA type loan or it's another loan through your bank, it all can be collateralized by the Treasury with all the favorable terms that the entire SBA kind of loans have as well. We just really want, I think, we need to maximize the footprint and the number of locations really that small business owners can walk in and get that cash. And I'll be honest with you, that local banker knows the local merchants and vendors. They'll be able to sniff out fraud best, I think. And so, we really would propose that we maximize the lending institutions that have the ability to give those loans.
All right, Alfredo Ortiz, the president and CEO of the Job Creators Network, joining us to talk about rising unemployment amid the coronavirus outbreak. Thanks so much for coming on the show today, Alfredo.
Thank you, Greta. Be safe out there.
You as well.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.